saw three visions um, during our time with Emmanuel on Saturday. That was January the 30th, 2021. The first vision I saw was an image of these two steel rings. One was slightly larger than the other because the second one was sort of within the first one. And one was like the tips of each one were facing in different directions. So one was kind of north-south and another was east-west. And what I saw happen was they were sharp. These steel rings were sharp like blades, and they were spinning very quickly in their own respective directions. And they began to kind of fall upon and cut into this wooden post, and it went in like a few or several inches into this post, cutting into it. And when it came up, of course, there was the symbol of a cross in this post, coming down vertically on this post, mind you. And I didn't know if this had some relevance to maybe something that was being built, or maybe the symbol itself was of importance. In the second vision, I saw, I believe I saw the Lord himself walking in this great green field. There were a few hills. He was clothed all in this white robes, similar to how he's often depicted. There's even something that was kind of over his head, this white robe, like a hood of some sort. And I could tell it was very stormy around him. The sky was full of gray and black clouds, and these several tornadoes began to appear around him on this field from the storm, and seemed like they were meant to destroy whatever they came in contact with, of course. And then it was from that point that I saw that where Jesus was once walking in this field, now there was he wasn't there any longer. He had now been replaced by this extremely quickly growing tree. And you couldn't even tell from the point that it first appeared that it had even been a sapling, because of how quickly it began to grow. And grow not only in height, but also in depth and width. And it grew to such an extent that its branches eventually filled the sky. And as a result, the storm just dispersed, because there was really no sky for it to exist in, and therefore the tornadoes also dispersed. And as the tree continued to grow, and its trunk grew to a massive size, like larger than a mountain, as my vision was pretty much filled with the tree, I was given another perspective from outer space, looking on the globe of the earth. And I saw that this tree and its branches had actually begun to cover the entire earth. So instead of how something like this is often depicted, where the tree is just kind of growing straight out sideways from a globe, kind of a goofy picture, instead this tree, as its branches filled the skies or the heavens of the earth, it was completely wrapping it in its branches until all the sky, any sky that there had been in the earth, was completely covered in this tree's branches. So that's what I saw in the second vision. In the third vision, I think this had an application to my life, or the Lord had given it to communicate something for my life, relevant to what was being discussed during our time with Emmanuel. But in this vision, it was kind of interesting. I saw a very wide, deep pit, but this pit was not. It didn't descend into darkness or pitch darkness. It descended into what looked like a sky. So it was kind of a very surreal picture, because it didn't look like a pit of light, but more like you could see like the blue sky within this pit. So interestingly, if you would jump into this pit, you'd kind of be jumping into the sky. Anyways, from this pit, makes it even more interesting. I saw these very large and various rockets that were coming out of the pit as if being launched from the pit. And I don't have much detail as to what those look like, but the interesting part was, to make it even more interesting, I saw what looked like a brown horse had jumped from the edge into this pit for whatever reason, and as it fell into this pit, the rockets that were passing out of it were like with their wings, or with just different parts of these rockets were smashing into the horse as it fell, completely breaking its body as it fell. So basically destroying the horse. I never saw it like be sliced into pieces or anything, but it just was being broken continually as it fell, as these rockets passed by it and hit into it. And eventually the horse disappeared into the abyss, if I could use that word, of this hole of the sky, until after a short time later it reappeared again, flying in the same direction as the ships, and it was no longer a brown colored horse, but it was a pure white colored horse, and it also had wings with which it was flying back from this infinite pit.